we're going to talk a little bit about today's Parsha. All right, guys, come on in. We're going to talk a little bit about today's Parsha. In a message I've entitled, Cursing the Blessed Thing. Cursing the Blessed Thing. Unfortunately, many believers that I have met over the years have been guilty of this very thing. I said guilty of this very thing. Cursing the blessed thing. We're going to use today's account, not a story, because we know there are no stories in the Bible. That's right, you want stories, you go to Magic Kingdom, or you go to Disneyland. But there are no stories in the scriptures. There are only biblical accounts. Thank you. Biblical accounts. Amen. Pick it up with Bamidbar, Numbers 22, and we'll pick it up here with let's pick it up with verse 2. And Balak, that was the king, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was very afraid of Israel because they were many. So we see right away they started multiplying, just like Yahweh said that the children of Israel would be multiplying. They were multiplying right away. And the people of Moab were already upset that they were already beginning to be what? Fruitful and multiply. Moab was very afraid of Israel. They were many. And Moab was stressed out, distressed, because of the children of Israel. Verse 4. And Moab said to the Zechemim of Midian, to the elders, now shall this company, meaning Israel, lick up all that are around us. The ox licks, as the ox licks up the grass of the field. And Balak, son of Zippor, was Melech of the Moabites at that time. So we see in verse 4 that Satan, through this king, begins, notice, in verse 4, to summon leaders to his task. Don't worry about that, that's all July 4th stuff. To summon leaders to his task. So a lot of times, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, but when the devil wants to attack the people of Yahweh, a lot of times he'll do it not just through the people, but through the leaders. And that's why a leader needs to be very careful that he's not used by the enemy and he's used by Yahweh. Very, very careful. Because when the king came against Israel, he didn't just come against Israel, he summoned leaders because he knew that we hold people in high esteem. We hold leaders on a higher level, and even giving them titles of reverend, as you know, in the world, in the religious world. Yeah, and so no one is reverend or revered other than Yeshua, and so the devil, through Balak, the king of the Moabites, was attempting to get leadership to impress and to seduce the people of Israel. And that's why this year's conference, the theme of this year's conference is We the People. Because I realize you can't build Yahweh's government and Yahweh's kingdom with just a whole bunch of chiefs and no Indians. Because most of the chiefs are building their own kingdom. That song that Yahweh gave me, may our kingdom come. May our kingdom go, I'm sorry. May our kingdom go that your kingdom may come. Correct? So that is because most leaders are busy, unfortunately, building their kingdom. Bigger buildings, bigger synagogues, bigger churches, bigger mausoleums, okay, to hold more people. It's all about numbers and it's all about geld. It's all about money. And that's one of the reasons Yahweh told us to go to the brother's house, is to do things according to the pattern. To be humble, to learn humility, to learn what it means to live and to serve and to be with other brothers and sisters, echad, panayim el panayim, face to face, in the house of Yahweh. So we would learn that we are real people. There's no stage where we're on a platform and the worshipers are very high and the pastor is very high and the leaders are very high, and because all those leaders need to be brought down. They need to be brought down in reality. Their ministry is not revolve around them. I had a Messianic rabbi in Ocala, Florida, and he had lost his wife. And he said, he cried to me. We were looking for a job as a Messianic rabbi, and he cried to me. He said, I lost my wife, and the only thing that I have left is my baby. And I said, and I looked at Rivka, and she looked at me and said, what may be your baby? It's my congregation, my ministry, my synagogue. This is my background. My wife is gone. This is all I got, my baby. If you look at your congregation as a baby or your child, you need to leave the ministry.
Right. Anything yours.
Exactly. It's not yours. It's not your baby. It's not your wife. It's not something that you use to feel good about yourself or to build up your ego. It's a calling. Because if it's a true calling, it'll cost you everything.
Exactly.
Everything.
You don't know?
Just this morning when I was in prayer, Yahweh said to me, he said to me, I said, Yahweh, you want me to take this Sex and the Believer off the market? He said, who are you writing it for? I said, well, this generation wants to kill me. They want to crucify me. Maybe I should retreat and redact and not print it anymore. So Yahweh said, when my son died, did he die for that generation? Or did he die for generations not yet born? When I gave the Torah, did I give the Torah just for the people who were standing on the foot of Mount Sinai? Or did Moshe say, this is for us, and those who are not here with us in future generations is this Torah being given?
Amen.
Yeshua said, you're not going to see the fruit of patriarchy and the other things you wrote in that book in this generation, but the children and the grandchildren, they will live it, and they will thrive, and they will revere those things that I have given you to write. But this generation will not receive it.
That's the answer right there.
Prophet is not known in his own land.
That's it.
So he said, what you write and what you teach and what you do for future generations. Those who have ears to hear will hear. Those who have eyes to see will see. But in general, you are sowing the seeds of righteousness for a righteous remnant seed for future generations. And you continue to publish, print, and write what you've been given to do. Publish, print, and write.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Exactly what the word of Yahweh said to us today through Rebbe and Rivka. It is not up to convince people. It is up to people to be convinced that Yahweh is true and every man is a liar.
Amen.
And so when the devil wants to do something to corrupt the people of Israel, many times and invariably, he will get leaders involved turning against other leaders, vying for territory. It's no different than gang warfare, and it's no different than the street.
You ain't lying.
One pimp fights another pimp for territory, for control of this and this and this, and gang warfare. That's a lot of what leadership is in Messianic Israel. And that's why in this Congress, we are leaving the leaders who don't want to be associated with us. Why? Because they had a shocking revelation that we're not perfect. What? As if somehow they believe we were perfect before that.
Exactly.
So as soon as they find a fault or a flaw, or the cost is too high to be associated with you, they don't want to be associated with you because you won't stop printing the book.
That's exactly.
I had one rabbi tell me that my book, Sex and the Believer, caused him all kind of problems. Even allegedly costing him a wife. Allegedly. So you know what I said to him? I said, well, what about the wife that you went and did marry?
Uh-oh.
How did she get into plural marriage? She read the book. See how people are deceived? You see how people are deceived? That woman that one rabbi wound up marrying, who turned against us,